Hi, and welcome to Positive Partners. I'm Mike Thompson.
And I'm Tom Heiskell. Was previously working for 30 years as a clinical psychologist with a PhD from Purdue University. I'm no longer doing that, having retired. So I'm not a psychologist now. That's a term controlled by law. So
Okay.
I have that degree and that background. I cross-trained at the Karen Pryor Academy for animal training, which is comes from a lot of people who were involved with marine mammal training and so forth. So it's a very solid type of training, and there's some science in behind what we're going to be talking about today, which is finding people scenting games.
So last time when you watched, hopefully, on last program we did scenting games, which is finding treats and boxes and different things like this. And this week we're finding people.
Right. And I think you mentioned that you have a game that you play with your dog.
Yeah, I play hide and seek in the house. And so, whether I throw a treat and get them to not look when I'm running down the hallway and getting into a bedroom or whatever, and then either call them, make a noise so that they can come find me, and then they find me and I come out and say, "Hey, good boy." And I'm not coming out from behind the door going, "Boo."
Yeah.
We want to make it a positive experience.
Yeah, right. And it's always tempting to play a little joke on our dogs and all that sort of stuff. And oh, look, they were so scared. But if you want them to
pee on the floor.
Yeah, right. If you want them to enthusiastically find you, and maybe you want them later on to find someone that you kind of need them to find, possibly, then you want them to have unmixed up good feelings about finding you, and oh, what's going to happen? So, being amused and having a good time and it is all great, but then again, probably save the jokes for other times,
Yeah, do that with your kids.
Oh, yeah, right.
So this is a fun game that you can play while you're training. And what does this training build up?
Well, it builds up, first off, impulse control, because the dog at some point in the game is having to wait before they go look. It teaches learning new behaviors, because this sounds real simple, but when you look at it, there's a lot going on. It teaches the owner how to train step by step, teaches the dog names of people, and in the end, occasionally with dogs that are really good at this, and it's been fun all along, the dog's very enthusiastic, if a child goes missing, some dogs who have learned, hey, find so-and-so, hey, where's Bobby? He was here a few minutes ago, and there's some area where the gate was open and Bobby's gone out the gate.
Yeah, he fell down the well, I think.
Yeah, Timmy did.
Timmy did.
Yeah, find Lassie, find Timmy.
Right.
That's a reference for
old people.
Old people. Right. But you can find it back on, And Lassie was a boy, usually, and there were numerous Lassies, numerous Rin Tin Tins. We were totally dating ourselves.
Yeah.
Anyway, look it up on YouTube. So occasionally, though, if the dog has learned these games and has had fun with them, if somebody goes missing, you can say, hey, find, so-and-so, and give them and the dog can go track them down. Not every dog's up to that, but it can happen.
No, I used to do this just for having fun. I would maybe throw a treat over there in one room, and then I would run to the next room and hide behind a door, and then he'd be looking for me.
Okay, so you threw a treat to get that. You took care of the how do you get the dog somewhere else without tethering the dog or without keeping the dog in a long stay. So you throw the treat and you go hide. Yeah, that's a great idea.
So then I'd hide, and the only thing I would probably caution is coming out from behind the door going, "Boo."
Yeah, even though it's Halloween. Yeah, you want your dog to be glad they found you, rather than scaring the something or other out of out of
You
them.
want to just
Yeah.
come out and go, hey, good boy.
Yeah, good dog, yeah.
Right.
And the dog says, I'm glad I found you, instead of, let's reconsider this.
This is going to be
Yeah,
scary.
right. And don't come out with your, well, Halloween's past now, but don't come out with your scary clown mask and that kind of stuff.
Right,
I mean, you know,
to attack you.
there's you know, we with creatures and people and that are less able to defend themselves than we are, we unfortunately sometimes amuse ourselves at their expense, and that can be amusing. And then also there's a fine line where we can just take it too darn far.
You're talking about the Halloween costumes?
Well, or just putting dogs through discomfort.
Oh,
when
right.
that amuses us, and it's really distressing the animal, and we laugh about it, but it's really not accomplishing anything other than amusing ourselves at their expense. It's a little cruel. Yeah, it's not necessary. So let's have fun with our dogs by actually having fun with them instead of, you know, at their expense.
Right. You don't want them peeing on the carpet every time they find you.
Right. Yeah. Then you know you've gone too far. Yeah. There's your first hint. Right. Right. So you want to build up. So it teaches a lot of things here, and an easy way to start this out is starts with chase, of all things. So on that one, what you do is you have something the dog wants in addition to being with you. You have the dog, someone's either there holding the dog, or you maybe have their leash is leash without, let's say, a short line or a long line without a handle at the end of it, because you don't want that handle catching on something when they run through the house and scaring them or hurting their necks, which could actually easily happen, or even getting jammed in something. You know, if you've got a handle at the end of it, and they go through something, and there's something where that leash could get wedged, then you've got a sudden problem. So
either that, or you're dragging a chair through the house.
Yeah, you're dragging the chair, or the chair falls down and scares the heck out of them.
Right.
That sort of thing. So on a long line, what you do is you have no loop at the end. Seems like a small point, but you'll be glad when you don't have the dog pull a chair over and break the china and all that sort of stuff and scare itself. So anyway, you have the dog sitting, you run away and say, you know, come here, so-and-so, and the dog catches you, and you give affection, and then you give a treat, or you play a game of tug, or you throw the ball, whatever the dog loves. Or you do some combination of all those things, because you want the dog to be flexible as they can, and work for a variety of results.
And I do this in the beginning when I have a puppy to reinforce their name.
Yeah, that's great.
You say, you know, here Rosalind, here Rosalind.
Yeah.
And
So
when
you're
she
reinforcing
comes to me,
name, and you're also reinforcing a
and the
recall.
come, right.
Yeah. Yeah, so the recall is reinforcing that recall is really, really beneficial. And
Okay, so
yeah,
you're finding,
as far as what it's teaching a recall strongly there. So you call the dog to you, and then you start building in some delays before you release the dog to chase you. So if you've got someone else there with you, they can hold the dog, and you say, Rosalind, come get me, that sort of thing.
and hide and seek just gets a little bit harder.
Yeah, or you could actually say, come find me, if you wanted to use a word that will carry over, and as you say, later on it gets more difficult. So you run away, you either have the dog tethered, and if you're using a tether to hold the dog in place, then what you do is you have them have it on their collar. The end of it fishes around some very, very heavy non-moving article.
like a tree or whatever.
Like a tree if you're outside, or like a really, really, really heavy piece of furniture, a couch or something inside. You're holding on to the loose end, and you're saying, stay, that sort of thing. And they're naturally going to stay because they're tethered. As you run away, then you're sliding your hand along that long line, which can be, any length you want, some lightweight cord and that sort of stuff. You can
Could
make
even
that,
be a tie out. It doesn't have to be a leash or whatever.
well, you want it to.
I mean, not a chain.
Not a chain, yeah. But if it's if
light.
it's a very light cable or something like that, as long as it doesn't get stuck on stuff.
Right.
So anyway, you run away, and then you say, Rosalind, find me. And then you're 10 feet away, 20 feet away, 30 feet away, that sort of stuff, and
like right now, it's fall, and a good thing you could do is like with your child or someone, just hide them in a pile of leaves.
yeah, that'd be fun.
That would be fun.
Yeah, as long as they're cool with it.
Right.
So anyway, and then you can do when you're away, you can stop and do a fake hide. So you crouch down and act like you're hiding. It's kind of like how 2-year-olds think they're hiding.
Yeah, if I cover up my eyes, I don't exist.
Yeah, right, that sort of stuff. So anyway, you go out and you fake hide, and you have the dog wait, and then you say, Rosalind, and then come, find me, and then you release your end of the long line, and Rosalind comes to you, and so on and so forth. If you have a second person with you there, then what they can hold the dog, and then once the dog is used to finding that person, going out and finding a person who's run away or going after them, then the second person's holding the dog, and they give the instruction. Then Rosalind, find him, and then that's.
And then you can switch.
Yeah. So Rosalind, find Mike, and then you can switch. So then what you're adding there is if the dog, and at that point, if the dog isn't responding when you say find Mike or find whoever you've switched to, then the person who's run out can support the dog by saying, Rosalind, come, find me, And so as the dog learns that behavior, and they know exactly what they're going to be doing, so then that's the old behavior. You've got the behavior, they're going out and searching for someone. You can add the new cue. At that point, you can say, Rosalind, find Mike, and see if Rosalind goes out and goes to find Mike. What you're doing there, and what you're building in, is you're adding in the distance that the dog is traveling to find you. You're adding in and varying how hidden you are when they're looking for you. You're varying and adding in how long they have to wait before they search. And when you change one of those things, let's say you're making them wait 15 seconds. And they're not used to waiting any, so you're having them wait 10 or 15 seconds. Then what you do is you make the other parts of that easier. So you hide closer to the dog, and you hide in an easier to find location.
Just in the middle of the room, so
Just
when
in
they
the
go
middle of
down
the
the
room.
hallway, it's like, oh, there you are.
Yeah, just there you are. It's like
Not under the bed. So.
Yeah, because you've made the task more difficult. So a general rule in dog training and teaching with anything is when you make one part of what's going on more difficult, make the other parts easier. And then when they've got that difficult part down, then you can add in, so now they're waiting 15 seconds, now maybe you can hide a little farther away, and a little farther away, a little farther away. Okay, and then when you change, then you make you're more hidden. So what you do is you keep your delay, maybe you make your delay 5 seconds or something like that, and you make your distance 20 feet, and you're making yourself harder to find.
Like if you hide behind a tree, then you could be a little visible.
Yeah.
Like let your leg or your arm hang out, and it's like, oh, I see him.
Yeah, there we go.
And then, you do that several times, and later on you like totally hide behind a tree, and then he's got to look behind each one.
Right, right. And at that point, what is going on is that in order to find a person with more delay and more distance and more hiding, being more hidden from the dog's view, the dog starts piecing together that in order to find someone, it has to use, its eyesight isn't helpful.
Use more senses.
Use more of their senses, and they're particularly hearing and smelling. And if the dog is having a little bit of a hard time, then you can, give a little sound and that sort of thing.
Right.
But if you're having to give a sound, then probably what you want to do is you want to make it easier for the dog to win by being closer, by having less delay, by being a little less hidden, easier to find, and that sort of stuff. Then what you can do, once the dog is got that going, is you can start adding in the scent signature for finding that person. So you'll take like someone's hat and or some other article of appropriately available clothing, or something that they've worn, or if you've got something that's been washed, a washcloth or something like that, then that person who's going to be hiding can rub their hands all over it, and then that has their scent signature on it. So at that point, what you're doing is you're presenting this to the dog.
Instead of saying their name.
Well, you will say their name, because how it goes is the new cue, the old cue, and then you're getting the behavior. So you take that up to the dog and have the dog sniff it. And so you may need to teach, if you've already taught your dog to bump things or touch things with their noses when they're presented close to their face, you may need to teach the dog the cue for sniff something as opposed to touch something. Mm-hmm. My dog, I taught him to touch things, and that was partly how he learned to close doors. It would be a handicapped assistance behavior to close a door for someone, or close a drawer or a refrigerator or something like that. Anyway.
You have to be careful with teaching some things. Like, I taught one of my dogs, Rusty, how to open the front door.
Okay.
I was like, look,
Whoops.
You want to go outside?
Yeah.
Hit this.
Yeah, right.
I took his paw, bink, and from then on, it's like, I want to go out. Boom.
Yeah, right.
So then I had to put a lock on the top of the door where he couldn't get to.
Yeah, right.
So, or he could open the drawers and stuff in the kitchen, get his treats or whatever he wanted.
It's like, look what I did. Oh no, look what I did.
Right.
Yeah.
So think about it.
Think about it ahead of time, right? Yeah. And the words that you use for cues, you want to be clear words that you won't. If you use a word to indicate something, you want it to indicate doing only one thing. Now, a word can't indicate do this or that. It has to indicate doing one thing. So anyway, you present the article. The dog is used to sniffing. You say, okay, sniff. The dog sniffs that. And then you say the dog's name, or just simply say, find Mike. And then the dog goes out and does what it's already done. Then at some point, what you can do is fade out the find Mike, and you can just present the scent article, and then say, and the dog's scents, and then say, okay, find him, or find, and then the dog will go look for the person that bears that scent. So then that can be, if you've done that, then a dog who really likes that game, if you're looking for someone and the dog has gotten used to looking over longer distances after substantially longer delays in time, and where the person's hidden, then if it came up that
if they were hidden for a day.
Well, yeah, the dogs can still track, but at that point, when you're talking about period of delays, you're really talking about a search and rescue dog, and those dogs are intensely trained. on a weekly basis. There are some search and rescue organizations in Ohio for people who are interested in that. And it's a very wonderful thing for a dog that's athletic and energetic and
Has a really good nose.
Has a really good nose, and someone who wants to be out there and doing that with them. It's a wonderful public service and activity, and great people who do that. But if it came up that you can play this game, if you wanted to send a message from one person to another in the house, you just tie a message to the dog's collar, and so and so.
Bring me cookies.
Yeah, bring me cookies. Order pizza.
Yeah.
But put the message on the dog. Find so and so, and then even if the person that you've asked the dog to find doesn't know that the game's being played, they see the dog with the message tied to its neck, then they can figure that out, and it can be a fun thing. All right. So can be useful then if a child goes missing to say, find Bobby, find Sally, and that sort of thing. And if you include children in that game, and they're old enough so that they can behave, in a way that works for the dog when they are found, and you can have adult supervision there. Anyhow, then that kind of takes us into something that relates to a family activity with the dog, which would be, or you've at least got two people yo-yo calling a dog back and forth between you.
Yeah, we do that a lot.
So talk about how that goes. Just explain how that goes.
Well,
because
we just
the
go
whole
from
thing
across
is just
the yard,
and
it's like, go get Deb, and she's like, come here.
Yeah.
And they'll run over there, and I'll say, come back over here, and they'll run back and forth, and that way we're not like going for a long walk, and they're getting lots of exercise. I know it's not good for us.
Yeah,
because we need the exercise too.
How much stuff is really good for us if we're exercising our dogs? That's great.
But they're, and like I said from like the beginning of the show, a tired dog is a good dog.
Sure.
So you come home,
a dog with a job is a happy dog, and you've given him a job. You've given him something to do.
You come home, they're just, wanting to do something because I've been sitting in the house all day.
Yeah.
You come home, open the door, let them run around, call them back and forth. And then, if you have a big dog, just to make sure, don't feed them right after that.
Oh, good point.
I've had problems with bloat. I've had two dogs with bloat. So, I've got Bernese Mountain Dog, you got German Shepherds, Great Danes.
Boy, that's a good safety.
Doing this type of stuff and running and exercising, leave a period of time before you feed after the exercise, and don't do it right after they ate. Wait an hour and a half.
Right. It's the old thing in swimming, like don't swim until after you've So I just wanted give
to
yourself some time
put that out there
and
because
after.
I've had a problem with it.
Yeah.
So if
and
you've got a big
deadly,
dog,
right?
definitely.
It's a life-threatening.
Right. You need to get them to the hospital and get them surgery within 12 hours.
Yeah.
Or they're dead.
It's very limited
So
time.
I'm just putting that out there. The exercising and eating, keep them apart.
Yeah, really good point. Now, when you're giving a treat, that's not going to cause bloat. Treats are different. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And gulping water.
Yeah.
Make sure they don't gulp water.
Okay. And on that point, you can use part of their actual feed as reward, as long as you're keeping the amount of, as long as you're doling it out 1 or 2 pieces at a time.
Right, that's fine.
Yeah, okay. Now, when you're doing that yo-yoing back and forth to build the dog's motivation to go, the person who's holding, where the person that the dog is by can hold the dog back. And the person who's called the dog, Rosalind, come, Rosalind, come. The person who's holding on to the dog can hold it. Yeah, you want to go, that can say, find Mike. And the dog's going, well, let me go already, let me go. And the dog's building up some motivation, you let him go. And then you've got more energy and you've got more speed. Yeah, it's mildly frustrating to the dog, but it's in a good way. It's like, yeah, I want to go, I'm up for this, I'm psyched. Okay. So you round robin like that. When you've got the dog reliably going back and forth, when they're called, then you can add in the cue, find so-and-so. So you're over there calling Rosalind. Someone's got the dog. Okay to say, Deb's got the dog? Yeah, okay, we're good. Deb's got the dog, and you call Rosalind, and Deb's holding on to Rosalind, and then Deb says, Rosalind, find Mike. And then, okay. And then what you can do is fade out the calling the dog, and then the person who's got the dog can just be holding the dog, and the dog's used to when it's being held like that, and somebody the dog knows what it's going to do. It's like, I'm going to go to somebody, and then you say, find Mike, and the dog, goes over. If the dog isn't clear about that, then you do the same formula: new cue, old cue. The old cue is the behavior the dog definitely knows. So find Mike, and the dog, you let the dog go, and the dog goes, I don't know, and then so you see that that's not really happening, and so
not ready for that step.
Not ready for that step. But then you call the dog, say, Rosalind, come, So then you can fade out the old cue as the dog starts to anticipate what it's going to do and what the cue find means. And then what you can do, instead of using the name, as you've got find Mike going without being called, then what you can build in is sent the article, the hat or whatever, and then you say find Mike and release the dog, and then fade out the find Mike part and just give the sending article and say find.
And then it would be interesting if you took a stranger and an article and see if they could find that.
Yeah, right. And that's built up to a very high level at that point. But it's all fun, and what you want is people having fun the whole time through, and you want a dog that is engaged and really joyous. You want to see them energetic, tail wagging. This is great, and you want to stop the game when the dog is still enjoying it. Stop while you're ahead, stop while the dog's in the game, rather than when they're completely exhausted.
And you might want to do it in an enclosed area.
That's a great point, without distractions
Right,
around.
because, it could be like, come get me, and
right.
then rabbit.
right, squirrel. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. That's really, gosh, you brought up some great points about not eating heavily before, after, and so forth, and a low distraction area inside. You start inside, and then you go outside, and then you would go out to an off-property
When I'm at
area.
a park, I kind of scan the area, looking for
Great.
200 to 100 yards. If somebody's within 100 yards, then okay, you're
Yeah.
on the leash now.
Keep your eyes out. Fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks for watching, and see you next month.